What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bolsa. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, what's happening today?
Oh, a little bit of a shake-up this morning. I think I stayed up too late. I'm going to blame it on that.
We'll go with that. Hey, we need everybody's help. If you can go over to our Twitter at the official ITG on Twitter and hit that good old follow button for us. That'll go help us a very long way. Scott, everybody can be joining us live over on twitch.tv/the official ITG, as well as YouTube at Inside the Game Official. You can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Coming up on today's show, Sony is working on PlayStation 5 shortages by bringing PlayStation 4s to the market for now.
Oh,
we'll get into that.
It's an interesting strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off.
Yeah, absolutely. What is Project Cambria, and the Destruction All-Stars team no longer working on the Twisted Metal Reboot. Uh-oh, dude, that's not good.
Well, it may not be good. It may be good. Depends on who you are, but we'll get to that one.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get into it. Sony is dealing with PlayStation 5 shortages by making more PS4s. This comes from, oh, dude, we did this earlier. Takazaki Mizuki Makuchi, something like that. And,
Takashi Mochizuki.
that's why you're on the show. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your help. And by Debbie Wu. Would you just go with that? Bloomberg. This comes from Bloomberg. Sony Group Corp will continue producing PlayStation 4 consoles throughout 2022 as it navigates disruptions to the global supply chain that have limited output of its pricier PlayStation 5. The Japanese conglomerate, whose flagship PS5 console has been in scarce supply since debut in November 2020, told assembly partners late last year that it would continue making earlier generation machine through this year, according to people familiar with the matter. While Sony never officially announced when it would stop making the PS4, it had previously planned to discontinue assembly at the end of 2021. They said, asking not to be named as the plans are not public. The strategy would add about 1 million PS4 units this year to help offset some of the pressure on the company's PS5 production. The figure will be adjusted in response to demand, the people said. The older console uses less advanced chips, is simpler to make, and provides a budget-friendlier alternative to the PS5. Scott?
Okay, I was wondering on the inside, how is that a justified? But I suppose it takes less of these chips. That's the real scarcity. So
Exactly.
that does make sense. And I'm trying to think back to other generations because I stayed in 360 forever.
Yeah, sure.
I think 5 additional years into the Xbox One life cycle. And I think they were still making Xboxes for quite a while.
Well, dude, I know people who received this year for the holidays a PlayStation 4 and were ecstatic by that, right? So if you can keep that generation alive while you're trying to get as many chips into the wild to produce your PS5, this does seem like an actually half decent alternative. Let's provide what sells right now, what we're able to sell right now is kind of one of the biggest things, right? Everybody's looking for a PS5. We're still looking for the Xbox Series X. Nobody can find these things due to shortages. But what does PlayStation do? They step it up and go, well, why don't we just make more PS4s in the meantime? Help kind of subside what we're dealing with the PlayStation 5 and grow our community even more. Keeps that community going, Scott. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I think it's still a positive thing because the PlayStation 4 sold like fire. It just went.
Oh, man.
Gone and gone. It's super popular. So
Yep.
there's a lot of players that get into that, and that's just as great of an ecosystem. I've seen the other side kind of weaponize this idea, though. Going back to what I said yesterday,
Sure.
I hate the console wars and how they keep going. I'm out of high school, so I don't add to it anymore. But there was people saying, well, here's your opportunity to get a Series S. And although I don't think that's a bad idea,
No,
I
not
don't
at all.
think that's quite the suggestion to bring up at the time.
Well, that's just it, right? It's unfortunate. People are thriving to get their hands on the next generation console, whether you can find one or not, or thanks to all the bots out there and getting pirated and stuff like that. That's the downside of it, right? For those who are really looking to get into it, you really want to pay double what it's worth. Some do, some don't. Like I've seen some of the numbers for a PS5 right through the roof. And I was like, not happening, man. Like I will eventually get one. I don't think PlayStation or Sony anticipated the chip shortage that we're going to get into here. Being 2 years out now, Scott. Like we're on year 2 of PS5 and you still can't find one. It's not that it's a lack of being able, like, you know how Nintendo does it? They do a shortage on purpose to make it seem like it's a rare, exactly, right? Where PlayStation's like, no, if we could produce it, we would. We just can't right now. And that's the issue, which is just, it sucks.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because what is the fix to that? You know, we were stuck in this situation worldwide for about 2 years now as well. So maybe it wasn't quite foreseeable, the shortage, but at the same time, well, that's quite a big component to the whole thing. You'd have to get that worked out. So if they knew that was the situation, would that have pushed the new console generation back by 2 years.
Can you imagine?
Because that sounds like a very expensive redirect as well.
No, for sure. Right now, you're talking to investors. Investors are going to lose out. They're going to get mad. They're going to get really upset because they're looking for that next gen to then help kind of boost their sales and income and all that kind of stuff. But dude, in the end,
development side, all these games that came out for both platforms would have been pushed. Like that was
exactly,
that would have been a messy
right?
scenario.
Dude, we wouldn't have Returnal. We wouldn't have Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart right now if they would have pushed all this stuff. So at least some of us are able to get in the world of next gen and capitalize on next gen hardware. And if you find one, like I'm telling you, pick it up. But at the same time, dude, you take a look at your library, Scott. What are you playing right now? Dude, everything I play right now is still last gen.
Yeah.
So like we're still kind of waiting on that next wave of, next gen titles to flood the market. And we're not quite there yet. We're still seeing a lot of them go cross-gen. That's why not put out more PS4s? So that way, when Horizon Forbidden West comes out, you're like, well, I was going to wait for PS5. I don't have one, but I did pick up a PS4. So I'm going to jump into the next Horizon game.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Especially in the case of Halo is one that I think of too.
Sure.
Halo, obviously everybody wanted the new console to run it on, but having its availability everywhere else made it just kind of important to get in early.
Well, and the thing with Xbox is that they're like, no, we're supporting cross generations here for the next little while. So whether you have an Xbox Series X, S, an Xbox One, an Xbox One X, you're still able to play. Sort of. Like, let's be honest. I know some people had a heck of a time trying to play newer games on older gen consoles because they're chugging, they're kicking them out, they're this, that, and the other, right? And we're starting to see the fatigue now of those older gen consoles kind of catch up to where we are now with next gen games and that sort. So it's harder to play a lesser version of the next gen game on an old gen console just because the hardware is not there to really capitalize on it and push it forward like we are with next gen. Dude, there's two sides to it. I think it's a good move for PlayStation at least to get out in front and say, hey, I know we can't supply you with PS5s. Here's a PS4 in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it shows they're listening. They really are trying to meet demand.
Absolutely. Let's see what we get into the next world of VR as Project Cambria. I think that's how it's pronounced. Hey, Scott? Does that make sense?
Cambria, I think.
Yeah, this comes from Jamie Fedham over at Upload VR. Announced back at Connect 2021, Cambria is a different kind of headset for Meta, also known as Oculus for us old schoolers. It's not focused on massively expanding the VR user base, as seen with the $299 Meta Quest 2. I'm still getting over this whole Meta thing, man. But
yeah, I'm not such a fan. It's kind of like how Max is called Circle K now. Not to me, it isn't.
Exactly. Yeah, but instead, much more focused on providing high-end features to prove out the future of VR in various ways. To that end, we're expecting a much more expensive device than the Quest 2, and with some huge new capabilities due out sometime in 2022. Here's everything we know about the project. First things first, yes, this is another standalone VR headset from Meta. The company has been all in on the all-in-one category since it ended the Oculus Rift line in 2022.
Oh, I have a discontinued Rift.
You are outdated, my friend. Welcome to the world of PCs. And stated it will no longer make PC VR exclusive headsets. Instead, everything you'll need to run VR experiences inside Cambria will already be on board, just like with Quest. We don't expect to have the same PC VR link features as Quest, but those are entirely optional. Despite being a standalone headset just like Quest, Meta has been very clear that Cambria will not be a part of the Quest line of headsets. Quest is notable for its low price, offering the easiest entry point into VR we've yet seen for consumers of all types. But Cambria will focus on a higher end market and features that won't appear in the Quest line for some time yet. High resolution color pass-through, eye tracking, face tracking. The controllers will ditch the tracking ring itself on the controller, which I thought was unique, and will be compatible with the Quest library. and it's expected, rumors are flying, that's going to be out this year. Scott, thoughts on the new VR headset?
Well, I think that it is a good idea to kind of split your offerings between a high and a low price thing, because you don't want to lose people that are kind of just about to get in. But that's this face tracking, I thought every VR headset did that, so I'm a little confused as to what that means. Eye tracking that's got to be the next level of tech there, because other than putting, a rumble pack on your chest, what are you going to do from here on out? How does it get better?
PlayStation VR 2 is doing the eye tracking feature as well. So there's that keep note of. But that's dedicated exclusively to PlayStation with one cable attached. Where this will have no cables. Dude, it almost looks like a pair of glasses, like an oversized glasses. You know the old school safety glasses we used to get when you go to school, right? And it's like almost like that. So
well, you're not supposed to look like a model playing those.
Yeah, it's funny. You posted the other day on was it Twitter or Facebook how back in the day mom and dad would be like, hey, get away from the screen, you're too close, and now we have VR that's like right here. So yeah, welcome to 2021 and 2022. Right?
How the times have changed.
Exactly. I am excited. I do like the idea that they're going with a higher end model. When you play Beat Saber on the Quest 2, there is a little bit of lag input because you're not connected to the hardware. So it's like slight, right? But I have noticed it. It is there. So
it needs another couple megabytes of RAM.
Yeah, just to kind of speed that up a little bit more. And dude, you'll be nailing it every time. But you tap in with the Quest Link cable and then you're just fine. But if you're going out in the world and just kind of doing your own thing, there's a little slight delay. But that's the only delay I've seen in it. So maybe it's a Beat Saber thing. I doubt it, but we'll see. This kind of gives you
what they mean. Reading into this a little further, what they mean about the high resolution color pass through is for moments like that where you're out in the wild, as you say, and you have the ability to look through the cameras to orient yourself in the room or wherever. And outside. In the case of the Rift S that I have, it's completely black and white. Kind of looks like you're looking through machine eyes.
Yeah,
which I like. But this one, it has full color and it'll be represented better. So that's good. They're just kind of improving all aspects of it.
Where do you see the price point coming in at for this?
Ooh, well, if the $299 is the entry point, well, that makes me think this another $100 at least, really. But it's hard to tell because I haven't priced out these for a couple of years now.
Well, so if you get into the realm of HTC, dude, you're like talking $1,200, right? Like they're not cheap. The Vive is an expensive headset. It is a very cool headset, but yeah, it's definitely at the higher end. I wouldn't be surprised if we're somewhere in around $1,000 moving forward with this one. Right now we can get the Quest 2 for about $400 here Canadian. So I think they're going to at least double that with this next one. That's not really focused on the entry level, right? They want to step that up and bring it again. They said they weren't going to do anything. That's the other thing, right? Meta said that they're not going to be focusing on other hardware right now, as they're really kind of delved in with the Meta Quest 2. Well, now we're getting into the next iteration of where they're heading with this project, and it's exciting to see what they're going to do. But there's a lot of business features in here, but still the capabilities of gaming. And I think obviously for us, that's where we're shining moments come from. Is for us for gaming.
Everything's broadening out into business, and then business is kind of branching into gaming right now. It's an interesting time we're in right now, between NFTs and VR being used in more of an office setting possibility. It's making a new future, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Scott, what is the future for Twisted Metal? Well, let's find out. Twisted Metal Reboot's developer moved away from Destruction All-Stars Lucid Games. Creators of Destruction All-Stars may no longer be working on the rumored Twisted Metal reboot. This comes from Alessandro Barbosa over at GameSpot. Yeah, that kind of hurts, man. The unannounced reboot of Twisted Metal might have already had a change of developer, according to a new report. VGC has reported that Twisted Metal development duties have been moved from Lucid Games makers of Destruction All-Stars to an unannounced Sony studio in Europe. Given that the game hasn't been formally revealed, neither Sony nor Lucid Games have provided a comment But VGZ sources suggest that the change might be down to Destruction All-Stars' tepid reception. Well, that's...
I have a feeling that might be it.
You know, and honestly, I was shocked to see that, well, again, not officially announced, right? But rumors floating that was the development studio behind Twisted Metal. We're talking about one of the most beloved IPs coming out of PlayStation that we haven't seen in decades.
Yeah, since PlayStation 3 was the last one.
Exactly. And then Destruction All-Stars. Now I'm curious, Scott, what are the sales? What were the sales for Destruction All-Stars? You wouldn't know that off the top of your head. Come on, Scott.
No.
Step up your game. I'm going to look into it right now. But, so here's the funny thing. I was talking with my oldest, and he said, Dad, you got to play this game. It's really cool. I'm like, really? And he doesn't play these games. That's the other thing, right? So I'm curious.
It got him off of 2K. That's impressive.
They got him off of 2K and shooters. That's where he's a 14-year-old dude that just wants to shoot stuff. And I get it. But I was curious, right? Like, how much is that gonna factor? And if he liked it, then how bad was it really? So I'm kind of just looking at for sales numbers here, and I don't really see anything, unfortunately, Scott. But it tells me it didn't sell well enough if they're already moving away from the team. That's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. Well, and it kind of, I have two opinions about this, really. It is unfortunate for the case of the developers. They probably put a little bit of work into this, I'd imagine.
Oh yeah, for
by
sure.
now, and then just to lose like a big contract like that has to hurt. I mean, that's a big deal. But on the other hand, from the consumer point of view, I kind of see this as how DICE wore out their welcome with the Star Wars licensing, and then they gave Respawn, you can do Jedi Fallen Order, and that turned out to be a really good decision.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that in the case of Twisted Metal, I hope it just preserves the art in the best form it can, because if it's going to come back 10 years, 15 years, I can't remember now how long it's been, but if that series is coming back, I want it to come back in a good way, not like the Grand Theft Auto trilogy.
No, exactly. And Destruction All-Stars released with a Metacritic score of 62 out of 100.
Oh.
So that kind of gives you maybe a little idea of why they might be switching developers. Because the confidence is not really in them right now to see what else they can work on and bring. The biggest problem is launching a new IP is not easy, right? And they are kind of in a realm of Rocket League, which owns that whole sphere right now. They are massive. Rocket League owns that whole side of things, and this is kind of like Rocket League with a twist that it comes across as. So
from what I've understood, there's not much in the game gameplay wise. It's just a Destruction All-Stars kind of thing, is really just a destruction derby. But now I'm wondering, you've got me thinking, if they just dropped the ball into the arena, how much would that have changed the response?
I don't know. I have no idea. But what is a big response right now is what's going on with Fortnite reportedly getting Paramount franchises, starting with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Dude, this comes from Darren.
It will never end.
No, over at GameSpot. No kidding. Epic Games looks to add some Cowabunga content to Fortnite soon, as Paramount has reportedly signed a deal with the company to make use of its Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and several other intellectual properties within the game. According to the report by Xbox era Nick Baker, several of the entertainment giant's films and television franchises will be used in Fortnite. Dude, Fortnite has everything and the kitchen sink in the game at this point. Like, it's just nuts. You
have Kratos opposite the Master Chief. There's just 100 characters in there. So this makes no surprise, really, that they're adding more. Paramount by name, of course, is a big deal.
Absolutely.
But they've already secured, Marvel characters and such. So I really have no doubts that when it comes to Fortnite, that just about anybody could be on there.
Anybody and everybody.
Nintendo characters yet.
Well, we'll see.
I would bet that's just a matter of time.
Dude, can you imagine Mario running around in Fortnite?
Oh, the jump would be fun. I like that.
Absolutely. Scott, we have some new game announcements and releases for today. What do we have, my friend?
We have... This is interesting to me.
Yeah.
Ubisoft unveils the Assassin's Creed The Ezio Collection for Nintendo Switch. Now, that's the surprising part for me, but that's really cool in my opinion.
Yep.
Now you can experience this classic award-winning franchise anywhere and anytime.
That's awesome.
Now, they are saying it will be available on February 17th. That crept up right under the radar.
Yeah.
It includes Assassin's Creed 2. I believe that may be your favorite.
Yep.
Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Revelations, and 2 short films. The Assassin's Creed Lineage and the Assassin's Creed Embers. I've not seen those. That's curious.
Dude, they're so good. They're really good. I watched it. I love Assassin's Creed. Actually, I'm starting to bash my head in the wall right now with Odyssey. That's a whole other story. It's pretty mad.
Did you watch that movie? I believe it was.
That was not good. That was not a good movie, Scott.
Oh no!
It was. I'm like, man, really? Like, who thought this was a good movie? The Assassin's Creed movie was an absolute disappointment. When you go, games and movies don't mix. That's a prime example right there of how that was not supposed to be done. That was very disappointing. They're better off to do the whole Ezio saga through the movie, and that would have been way more interesting. And I already know that story inside and out, but I would have rather to watch that than what we got for the Assassin's Creed movie. It is not good.
That's unfortunate. Everybody points that like video game movies do bad, and I always point out, well, I liked Doom with The Rock in it, 2005 or something, but I have a very unpopular opinion.
Yes, you do. Scott, we only have a few minutes left. What else were announced and releases coming today?
We have the Far Cry 6 downloadable content known as Pagan Control. It will be available now.
There you go. Very cool.
And we also have Far Changing Tides from Frontier Foundry. The games label of Frontier Development. Okay, I was trying to figure out how they were connected there because I'm familiar with Frontier, but this is due to launch on March 1st coming up. This is the next part of the Far universe, and I believe we played the original.
We did.
Probably 2 years ago now. And
it's been a while.
Interesting concept. I want to see that come out and be expressed further because I thought it was really cool. Now, we also have a few games out today, which breaks the stalemate.
Yes.
We have
finally
Mushroom Wars 2. Interesting thought. That is on the PC, PS5, Xbox One, the X and S, and the Switch. We have The Kids Were Here, Complete Edition, and that's on the PC. And we lastly have Monster Hunter Rise coming to the PC now.
There we go. And Scott, you also released your review of God of War on PC today as well. So make sure you head over to insidethegame.ca as well as our YouTube channel. Hit that link and all that good stuff. Subscribe, thumbs up. You know how that works. So help us out there. Scott, quick thoughts on God of War.
Oh, well, it was... it shouldn't have been surprising, but I was impressed. I'll leave it at that.
Of course. And hopefully you've been impressed with us and join us live over on twitch.tv/theofficial ITG as well as YouTube and Inside the Game Official. But if you can't watch ITG Daily there, you can hit us up later over on TV streaming networks around the globe, podcast services, and of course, InsideTheGame.ca. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see everybody else inside the game.